It is Monday, October 30th, 2023, and looking out the window at Defiance. It's kind of an overcast day. It was raining yesterday, or all night mostly, and I think today is supposed to be only in the mid 40s, kind of more of the same. Although I don't think it's going to rain anymore, but it's not going to be very sunny. The devotion for today is entitled Moving Past the Past, and that's written by Kenneth L. Samuel. Kenneth bases the devotion upon Gospel of John, chapter 7, excerpted verses from 25 through 27. The Living Bible, I believe, is the translation. Some of the people who lived there in Jerusalem said among themselves, "Can it be that our leaders have learned, after all, that he really is the Messiah? But how could he be? For we know where this man was born. When Christ comes, he will appear, and no one will know where he comes from." And then Kenneth writes, "It is often said that familiarity breeds contempt, and unfortunately, it's true in many cases. People feel that knowledge of our past gives them a certain license to determine our character and to prescribe our future. Our credit history determines our present creditworthiness. Past relationships are often viewed as indicators of our current suitability status. Voters are always looking for the different breed of candidate not cut from the same cloth of politics as usual. Even the history of one's ethnic group is sometimes used as an assessment of one's potential. Some of Jesus' contemporaries dismissed the possibility of his identity as the Messiah on the sole basis of their presumed knowledge of his background. They knew of the rather nondescript, unimpressive vicinity of Nazareth, where Jesus was reared. They knew of his working-class pedestrian parents. They may have even known something about the scandal that circulated around his birth. People assumed that the person sent to save them could not possibly share any common origins with them. In the minds of many, the Messiah had to be shrouded in mystery. A person's value could only be recognized in a person's non-disclosure. Our challenge today is to maintain respect for the people we've come to know intimately. Our challenge is to never lose courtesy, kindness, or consideration for the people who are closest to us. Our challenge is to never get so familiar with anyone or with anyone's past that we categorize them, lock them into profiles, prejudge them, or take them for granted. Our challenge is to discover divinity in the vicinity of our own backgrounds. Knowledge of a person's past is never tantamount to knowing the person. Anonymity should never be the price of anyone's acceptance. And the prayer. Gracious God, help us to remember this. What lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us. It's a quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson. Amen. Well, a couple thoughts that came to mind for me for this devotion are, I think we often, based upon someone's past history, if we've known them forever, makes it difficult for them to get beyond their past. I think of people who were born and raised in a small town, people still always think of them as the child they remember, even when they're in their 60s or 70s. It's kind of funny that way. And what's one of the things I liked about, it was difficult for me when I was 10 or so, between the ages of 10 and 12, we moved 3 times. In some cases, in some respects, it was difficult for me to move that often, but in others, it was kind of freeing because no one knew anything about me and they couldn't make any assumptions about me based upon what they knew of my past. Of course, on the other hand, they did make assumptions about where I came from and that sort of thing, which weren't often true, but it was different than actually knowing me from a childhood. And I think there's this biblical saying that a prophet is unwelcome in his own town. And I think that's true. I think it becomes difficult for instance, to be a minister to a church that you grew up in because the people there all know you and make assumptions about you based upon what they knew of your childhood or your past. We're constantly judging people, I think, based upon where they come from, the jobs they perform, history that they may have, somebody who was, or perhaps in prison as a felon. We make certain assumptions about them based on their history without ever really getting to know them first. So I think this devotion is an important reminder to not let someone's past define them before you get a chance to get to know them. And I think it's an important thing for us to do is to spend the time to get to know someone, and don't prejudge them based on what we think we know about them. I could go on. There's a lot more in there, a lot more life experience I've had with like living in Germany and trying to work to develop cultural understandings across the ocean. There's a whole lot there that I could go into, but I think that's enough for now. That's kind of what hit me on the surface when I was thinking about it. Is our challenge is to, as Kenneth said, maintain respect for the people we've come to know intimately, and um, never lose kindness, courtesy, or consideration for people who are close to us, and never get so familiar with anyone or anyone's past that we categorize them and lock them into profiles or prejudge them, take them for granted. Be open. So anyway, hope you have a good day and hope to talk to you soon.